1. Boost ignition and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. LaTB, LaTB, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
Welcome back. Episode 173. We finally broke in the ESPN deal. We had all sorts of finishes throughout the night, but overall, I was left dazed and confused and just kind of, honestly, a little bit misdirected as far as what ESPN is going to come and how it's going to affect the sport. How are you, Lesbo, and how have you been since we last met? We had a good fight of nights. After a long break, we're going to have another little break, but here we are to recap and Ricochet this event.
I am bummed. I'm bummed like a 1990s clothing brand. I am bummed.
One of the biggest missteps we had with this Brooklyn UFC card ESPN Plus deal was that we completely forgot to shit on the New York State Athletic Commission in general. We tend to really be hesitant on our bets, and we didn't even let that factor us. Brooklyn had me through a loop. I thought they were talking about Brooklyn, California myself. I don't know about you. But it was definitely something that came afoot throughout the night, maybe later on in the evening, but god dang it,
Okay, I'm going to ask you something for anyone that was watching on the same ESPN apps we were watching on. What was the song that you heard over 100 times?
The Ghostbusters song.
What was it?
The one that they in Ghostbusters 2, the good one? Wasn't it that song?
I don't remember at all now.
You just
Out of
totally
the many times
you
that
just
we
flashed
heard
me. You just MIB flashed me right now because
No,
I'm like I heard that 15 million times, and that's where I felt kind of hesitant and a part of this ESPN deal because
we didn't have commercials on Fight Pass?
It wasn't the commercials, it was the corners were filled up. The minute intermission between the corner, instead of going to the corner, they were showing us the same commercial.
We want to see that time.
Why am I paying for ESPN? I'm paying for this service so I don't get commercials, and you're putting commercials where they shouldn't be.
Yeah, hey, ESPN Plus, how about we get the corner talk and we get all that chatter in between, and you can put your commercials scrolling across the bottom or in the corner during that time.
Or even put the corner in the corner box and the commercial as the main frame. I'd be okay with that, but let me listen to that corner.
I agree. I want that time as well. It lets you, there was a couple of times that you're like, oh, that's a smart corner, or that's not good advice, or whatever. We like that here. We like that here.
Which Trevor Whitman was a regular staple to the Daniel Cormier, John Anik, and who was the third man in the booth there with them? Anik, Cormier, and
the dude from ESPN.
On top of the voiceover from Trevor Whitman, Rose Namajunas, his head coach, he came in multiple times and he would break down the corner talk. But it would usually be him breaking down what they said, what we didn't hear.
I don't know.
Oh, yes. That happened a few times throughout the night. But did you like them having the distended voice of Trevor Whitman breaking in and having his corner advice never minds? Really? They had his little face and his little this is the voice of Trevor Whitman.
Yeah, I don't recall it at all.
Wow, it must have impacted me more so because that Rose Namajunas cam's got me all twisted.
I remember you saying something about that. Like that being her coach, and I said, who, Pat Barry? And you said, no, Trevor Whitman. Pat Barry's not her coach.
Well, he is her coach, but he isn't the main brain. He isn't
He isn't the head coach.
Right. Trevor Whitman's the head coach. He's the mastermind. Pat Barry's more of the pat holder coach.
Why, when you drink hot tea, you have to drink it like this?
Because it makes it more refreshing and relaxing.
That's how you drink warm beverages.
Why do you have to drink a cold beer like this?
It's cold across we're getting a Arctic whip.
At a whole 65 degrees, it's freezing out here.
It's freezing over here in Florida. Freezing. It's freezing. It's so cold in Florida that we might see Amanda Nunes' ass crack.
Whoa! Did you happen to catch some of those Instagram
Should
and
we
Twitter
save
feeds?
that, or should we talk about the fight, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. It was in a prelude to the fights. Amanda Nunes is living her best champ life.
Yeah.
The ultimate champ life. Mooning all of the YouTubes and Instagrams and all of it put together.
Her dog.
She was cutting down a tree. She was sleeping with a bottle of wine. She
Was threatening
traumatized.
Ansonoff.
Threatening her at a title contender for 130 pounds, which we
Yeah.
do not have a
Catch
division
weight.
for yet.
Catch weight.
It was, if you do not follow Amanda Leon, you should, because that's a fun feed right now.
You will laugh your ass off. Her and Nina go at it a little bit. It's really cute. And for anyone who's not a fan of Amanda, I'm speaking for myself, I think, oh, this is your ankle. This is how I like you. This is funny. This is like endearing and makes Amanda like, ooh, I'd have a beer with Amanda. I'd drink a glass of wine with Amanda.
Michael Jackson.
Amanda, get down. Amanda, get down. She's
Michael
fun.
Jackson's impersonator.
I know, she's fun.
She reminds me so much of Michael.
I don't know.
I know it's, there's just so many angles where I'm like, ooh.
He has gotten by the end of his days, he was off. Maybe in his best looking day, but that is so
That's what I
long
think.
ago. That was before any of us were born.
True. It's fake memories that were only implanted for
Yeah,
me.
like it was before all of us were even alive.
But once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I had right after college, I lived in Los Angeles for a little while, and in front of the toilet in the bathroom, there was, I think it was Michael Jackson's mugshot.
Ooh.
And it was just a 8x10 of Michael Jackson right at your face level where you sat. And you would just be like, what the fuck?
Just looking right into those dark, dead
Yeah,
eyes.
like, what did this guy do to himself? What the fuck? Anyway.
So,
that got
UFC
dark.
Brooklyn,
That got
UFC
dark.
Brooklyn, back to what we're here for.
I'm talking about the man in the mirror. You would come out of the bathroom all the time singing a different Michael Jackson song. You would have a weird song stuck in your head all day.
Yeah,
Anyway.
if I had the mugshot of Michael Jackson, I might have to try that out. I'm gonna have to try it
I don't
out.
know if it was a
Try it
mugshot,
out.
but it was a really close up. I could pull it. I'm gonna find it while you start this next thing.
So, from the bottom to the top, we ended up having a pretty good night here at LaTB. 8 out of 13, even for both of us, even though we switched it up. If you follow us on Instagram at Zoltanite or at WeakNeckBaby, you saw that with my final card. I switched from T. Edwards to Dennis Bermudez, but we're going to get there. The night started off with Chance Rencounter officially at 170 pounds against short notice Kyle Stewart. You were showing me the face of Michael Jackson currently, and that is an alien.
Well, it's not currently. It was.
Oh, him at his mugshot
It was
at
probably
the time.
like in mid 2000s.
That is a face that is laid over an alien's face.
It is unbelievable.
Poor guy's
You just
nose.
can't stop looking at it. You're like, what did he do to himself? He looks like he took his eyelids right off.
Off. Completely off.
It's
Those eyebrows are funky
unbelievable.
too. So back to the fights though. Rencounter coming in short notice against Kyle Stewart. We both had the underdog at plus 145 in Rencounter. The Black Eagle himself really took the fight to the ground immediately. Evil Twin being all over Kyle Stewart. That didn't work out for him. Again, trying to get me to switch over just because he served some time in the Marine Corps with that gentleman. Well, they were the part of the same unit officially. But either way, Kyle Stewart, it was a big step up. He'll probably get another fight moving on here. Rencounter losing to Belal Muhammad in his debut. People were just giving him, they were underappreciating his actual grindability, and he got it done quickly in the first round. Submission, took it right down, got the rear naked choke. How did you end up feeling about either one of these fighters after you saw the first fight of the night that we told you guys to stay away from? Maybe Rencounter actually helped out.
Yeah, Rencounter would have been nice to have anywhere. It was more exciting than I thought it was going to be. A perfect way to start off the ESPN night. If anyone was just flipping through or like, what's ESPN? It was their highest
rated show.
ESPN Plus highest by far rated show. By far.
Via Dana White, which UFC rule number 1. Don't trade Dana
True.
White. So just saying, just throwing that out there. Never trust Dana.
I thought it was a good way to start off the night. It was an exciting fight. I know it only went into round 1, which maybe was for the best for both guys.
Totally agree. But this started off the beginning of the night of spamming the same commercial over and
I know, I can't remember the song.
over again. But we moved on to Geoff Neal versus Belal Muhammad. We both coming in with another underdog in plus 145. Belal Muhammad, but he ended up getting picked apart by Neal. We both thought Neal was gonna fade after that first round, and he really showed great cardio, great takedown defense, because Muhammad actually has good entries, was deep in on multiple shots in the first, second, and third round, and Neal fought every single one of those takedowns off. I mean, at the end of the third round, Muhammad was almost knocked out in that third round, and Neal came out without a scratch on his face. I mean, he was picture perfect by the end of that third round, and it was a high-paced fight, to say the least. Geoff Neal.
Anyone
big
who
contender.
doesn't... Yeah, I agree with you. Anyone who doesn't remember this fight when they're like, well, he just had a decision in his last fight. People don't give Muhammad the respect that he deserves, and this is not a walkthrough fight at all.
Yep.
We both knew it was going to go to decision. We just thought that Belal Muhammad would be able to take advantage of Neal's gas tank eventually and be able to get him down and take advantage of him on the ground. I like everything you said about Neal. I love his takedown defense, and his gas tank looked good till the end. He had great hands, and Belal Muhammad's tough to get out of there. I think that Geoff Neal is dangerous going forward and can knock a lot of other people out. He has fast hands. I was impressed with everything I saw. I really like him going forward.
I totally agree with that. And still, Muhammad has a place at 170 pounds.
Yeah,
he
I
can
like
beat a lot of
Muhammad.
other guys.
He's still gonna take people
I mean,
out.
the
He's still gonna
toughness-
be a good underdog.
He was losing that fight and still walking forward while he was getting picked apart, which...
Belal
lot of guys
Muhammad
quit.
will probably be an underdog for the rest of his career, but there's money to be made on him still.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. Moving on to the 155 pounds, we had Dennis Bermudez coming in against T. Edwards. We were worried about it here on the show. I was telling you guys I could wake up and switch to T. Edwards TKO round number 1, and guess what? That happened. I did switch to T. Edwards, and I watched that fight. And we were so right here at LaTB on our breakdown. We both had Bermudez for exactly the right reasons. T. Edwards is a 2-minute fighter, literally, maybe 3, but then has nothing, giving up all sorts of takedowns. Daniel Cormier said it himself multiple times. Look, T's not even fighting the takedown. He's just coming to this position and losing everything. It was a 30-26 type of a fight.
T. Edwards really looked like Rashad Evans' hairline in there to me.
Woo! Busted! Busted! God dang, man, T. Edwards. You can't fool me twice. He fooled me
Dennis
twice.
Bermudez, though, exactly what we said happened. The poor guy is part of the 4 ugliest split decisions ever. He's a super exciting fighter. He has a mad skill set in there. He needed this victory. It bums me the F out. He laid down his gloves. I don't think he had to yet. But you know what? I also am a fan of somebody getting out of there before their body is completely broken. Like, get out of there while you got your head on straight. Your body is together. Thank you, Dennis Bermudez, and what a good way to go.
I totally agree, and not many people do it on a victory. Dennis Bermudez is doing it right and leaving on a win with minimal damage. I mean, he really didn't get hurt in there. Most of his other bouts have been grinding affairs. T. Edwards, if he sticks around, if the UFC decides to keep him around, not going to be betting this guy in too many spots because he can blow bums out of the water, but UFC
Isn't he
is a
kind of
different
young
caliber.
enough, though? And Dennis Bermudez has really, really good ground game.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that can mimic Dennis Bermudez at this point, though, now.
At 155?
I think so. I could be wrong there, but I'm just saying, I don't think I'm going to be heavy on that T train regardless of who he's up against.
I agree. You're burn me once.
Exactly. You burned me twice, homeboy. So, unfortunately for him, he might not even at 155 with this division, he's all of a sudden a 500 fighter. I know records don't mean everything, but UFC does pay attention to that kind of stuff. So, On to 135ers, we had Corey Sandhagen come in short notice against Mario Batista. Batista was a short notice fighter about a week out.
3 hours.
Yeah, right. Pretty much. Everyone was hyped up on Sandhagen for a reason, and he definitely showed out, did everything he was supposed to. This is why we like the guy. He was supposed to finish him in the first round. He did end up finishing him in the first round via armbar, but it was just that pace. Batista, I think, could have given a better showing of himself if he had more time, but as I was saying, I feel like the announcers were saying it before, like, don't sleep on this Batista kid. This guy he got his first loss. He's going to come in and clean up a couple other peeps. And I definitely believe that. I like what I saw, even though he got taken care of in there.
I like both guys going forward. I hate short notice fights like this where the guy doesn't get a chance to train and do everything. Sandhagen did everything expected. It's kind of a wash fight for me. I still don't know what to think of Corey Sandhagen and if it's a hype train too soon. I know he trains with TJ Dillashaw and everyone says all this good stuff about him, but yeah, so I'm just kidding. I'm not a TJ hater now.
Damn, that quick. You burned me once.
No.
You burned me once.
It's how the TJ way. He always gets that. We'll talk about it.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there.
But I like Sandhagen. He was exciting to watch.
Yep.
Maybe Corey Sandhagen versus Sugar Shane.
Ooh, I would love that fight. I know Sugar Shane's got some foot and weed issues, so
I think that's almost over, though, isn't it?
I would agree that soon. That suspension should be up. So, on to the
Fast fight.
205 pounds. We have another quick first round finish in Alonzo Menafield versus Vinicius Morella Alves Muntanch Yamanch and Ayabranch. Fucking this guy had 28 names, did he not? What was he called by the end of it? Yeah, this was Alves versus Menfield. Alonzo.
Yeah, I know what it is. I just didn't pay attention to any of the sound coming out of it.
Oh, no, I'm just saying this guy has, he's one of those 25 namers.
I just like how many you gave him just then.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. But we all called it. We had Menfield winning round number 1. The quick things we saw in there at 3 minutes and 56 seconds was the Brazilian doesn't have good entries on his takedowns, has limited striking defense, and that was all that Menfield needed to capitalize on landing that overhand right over and over again, landing an uppercut, I think, multiple times. I thought, myself personally, Alonzo looked gassed after those 4 minutes, and later on against a grinder, like let's say a Bermudez for that division, maybe an OSP, all of a sudden Alonzo's done in 3 minutes, and he's a T. Edwards ready to be eaten alive by his opponent. So I didn't really like what I saw in there, honestly, from Alonzo Menfield. I thought that low caliber. It was low caliber
Alonzo an
opponent.
ex-football player as well?
I believe he played in college.
He played in
college.
Yeah. That I was wondering, I thought at first the ESPN strategy was, we're going to take these guys that and try to build, do the Brock Lesnar thing. Here, look at your guy over here. But I think what they're doing is, look at your guy that you call a super athlete, the Stallion. He doesn't beat these guys. It doesn't matter. It's still training. These guys are martial artists from the time they're 9 years old, from the time they're 6 years old, from the time they're, they do jujitsu forever, box forever. And you are showing me videos of kids online, doing backflips and boxing blindfolded.
Little girls.
What? Shut up. So, the cardio is everything in the UFC. People think that there's they can go out and do a 2-minute football play and that is going to equate into the octagon. And we saw it time and time again. They're like, oh shit.
Give me a break. Yeah. I need to breathe. And it's no, there's a fight. There is no breaks.
So this fight, I don't know. Even though exactly what we thought was going to happen, it was an underwhelming fight.
Yep. I would agree with that.
It was bad form. It kind of was sloppy.
That's why I'm actually looking forward to betting against Menafield eventually, because he's going to be a big favorite against the grinder that can take a punch. And then all of a sudden, plan A isn't going to work, and Menfield is going to be like, uh-oh, this guy can grind me.
And as sloppy as that 205 men's fight was, I think it's a nice thing that we're going into the 125 women's, where I felt like Joanne Calderwood put on a little clinic.
Did we have a big underdog here at LaTB unofficially?
I didn't have JoJo.
Oh, because you're in love with that beautiful Lipski.
No, but I like JoJo too. They're my two. I like both
you did
those
like
girls.
Them both.
I like them both a lot. I can't believe I went with Lipski, and I can't believe the whole week I'm like, I should change to JoJo and go with what I know. I should go with what I know. Even with Hardy, I was like, I don't trust. What am I doing with Hardy? Why am I on the Hardy train? I know we're gonna talk about it when we get there.
Oh, definitely. So, Joanne Calderwood at 125 pounds has all the checks in a row, being heavy on Calderwood, saying she's with a new man. Everything's good right now. She's going to be fighting in a good place. Just let her say that she's breaking up or having issues with him. You get off of that train.
Dr. Bean, instead of where you broke down the next two fights, where you were like, it's all about psychology.
It's mental issues with these
fighters.
people.
A lot of fighters are mental, most, but some more than others. And the next two fighters, JoJo and Cowboy.
So JoJo ended up really dominating this on striking and on the ground. After that first round, Lipski was pretty much gassed to me, and JoJo was able to take her down at will and just ride out the whole fight, never in any danger, almost submitted Lipski a few times with a couple arm bars in there.
I think Dana White even called out Lipski in the same sentence as Greg Hardy, with people think that just because you're an athlete over here,
even if an MMA artist
here, yeah.
Yep, because she was she was a KSW champ, which she had experience, but again, these UFC bright lights do matter, and even low caliber fights in the UFC are still the highest echelon of any other organization.
I do love the way Joanne Calderwood looked in there.
She did look good. She, that boy toy.
She's a sweet girl. She's a very sweet girl.
Definitely. Moving forward, though, I think Lipski learns a lot from this, and I think that she can come back, and she's young enough to actually make a run later on.
In this division, both women are safe.
Totally agree with that. 100%. 100%. Then we go to the 55ers where
What about Joanne Calderwood versus Paige Van Zandt?
Is Paige is she at 125 finally? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, winner versus winner, chicken dinner. Then it's
both on the same heel schedule.
Officially, the 125 next title fight is Valentina, the champion Shevchenko versus Jessica I.
Is that official?
It's not official, but Dana White said it was official.
So that means it's never happening. Who's fighting Shevchenko next? Amanda Nunes?
They said, but he said he doesn't see why it shouldn't be Jessica I. I thought you would be excited knowing that now you got that evil eye. You part of that evil eye.
My two favorite 125ers are fighting each other. But you know what? I really do like Paige. I'm finally on the Paige Van Zandt train.
As well. Whoa. Can you have Paige. Too many favorites?
I like all the 125 divisions coming together.
I agree.
It's on the same talent board, and then you have Valentina Shevchenko.
Just reigning in all.
She's like the Anderson Silva of the women's 125.
So, on to the 55ers. Same mindset. Donald Cerrone came in all sorts of pissed off against Alexander the Great Hernandez. Hernandez being young, being a big flash in the pan, beating two fairly high-level competitors, but Donald Cerrone being a different level beast. If you're following us here at LaTB, you were following that Cerrone train, and he saved my night on DraftKings a lot of the time. That was the guy I was able to put cheaply on a lot of my cards and over 100 points easily.
Yes. He was like over 120, I think. 122 or something.
This ended up going into the second round, but other than the first 30 seconds of the fight, Donald Cerrone pretty much took over this fight. He started a little quicker than he usually does. I usually feel like it's midway through that second round that Cerrone starts really get going, but again,
every second inside that octagon, Donald Cerrone did get more dangerous. He just unload. Yeah, you're so right.
100%. All the checks are in a row. He's got something that he's fighting for now. He used to just fight to be a wild
now. You said.
Totally agree. Thank you very much.
Dr. Bean was talking about it.
Thank you very much. But I mean, Donald Cerrone's a top 5 guy, and he showed it, if not top 3 in that performance. He picked apart. Those intercepting knees that he was landing on Hernandez really set up everything. He was landing those with the body in chin. Also, beautiful jabs in there.
Alexander the Great, if he's fucking smart, the kid fucking packs up a duffel bag, puts $1,000 in it, gets inside his truck, puts fucking some country music in the radio. I don't know what he listens to, or heavy metal.
It's probably...
And he drives out to the BMF ranch, and he fucking bows at the feet of Uncle Donald, and he gets trained there. Uncle Donald actually was saying that all his credit cards and driver's license all say cowboy.
Really? That's the dopest shit ever. No, just call me Cowboy.
Cowboy Cerrone.
And his cousin's Kid Rock.
I know, right? Right. So, I just think it would be really good for him to... He just needed to be humbled, but he's going to be great. I still think he is going to be great.
I agree. Again, like Lipsky, he has time. He's 25 years old. He's going to learn from this, especially fighting such high caliber. Eventually he'll say, I lost to that guy, but that guy was an all-time great as well.
Is that he underestimated Donald Cerrone.
Agreed.
Instead of respecting that he was your, what you were about to do. It was just like a complete... But maybe he had to talk himself into it. Maybe that was part of him being like, no, I can beat him. Holy shit, I can't believe I'm fighting Donald Cerrone.
True.
I got to get that out of my head. So,
how did you like Donald Cerrone back at 155 pounds? Now he's officially taking his nutrition.
I mean, he looked good. Everything looked great in there. And his power looked like it transferred over amazing. He just looked aged a little bit to me.
What is he, 36... of a fighter's career?
The reason I don't think I like it for Donald is his age, in my opinion, means he should be at the weight class where the guys are a little slower. But also for Donald, the people in the 170, it's such that jump where 2 tenors are coming down that he doesn't need to be fighting Wonder Boys and Woodleys. I don't like that for Donald Cerrone. Actually, him versus Wonder Boy is a fun fight.
That is a fun fight. Wonder Boy fights are starting to get a little dull for me.
With Cowboy, though, it's like it forces him to use a stand-up, but he has a great ground game.
I like that they're using Cowboy as kind of a gatekeeper against these young guys like Till and stuff, even though Till got him. But Hernandez is in that Till vein, just a smaller weight class.
Cowboy got knockout of the night and fight of the night, and so he got $100,000 extra.
And broke most winningest records and most finishing records as well, which he already held.
One of them his own record.
He already held one of them.
Or 2 of them. Yeah.
Correct. But I mean, Cowboy Cerrone still has few fights left under his belt.
I still like Cowboy going forward, and he's still sneaky, and he's going to be an underdog in a lot of fights still.
And dare I say that I'm going to actually be looking forward to Alex Hernandez being a little bit cheaper, because I can make some money on that young man later on. Again, he's got nothing but room to grow. On to the 205-pounders, we have Glover
And I
Teixeira.
heard that... I'm sorry to interrupt.
You're fine.
Connor tweeted back that he'd fight Cowboy.
Is that what everyone's been talking about? That was a fight that I didn't know if it had traction or not. Because Connor commented throughout the night talking about all sorts of belts and stuff, but... Of course, Connor versus a paper sack, and we're going to tune in to watch it. If it's Cowboy, even better, because I'm definitely going to be watching that. And you know who I'm going to be putting money on. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Cowboy?
Oh, come on. Yeah, you even guessing? Of course.
I know. You're never betting on Connor.
Right?
Who would Connor fight that you would bet on him? Dustin Poirier?
I bet Poirier the first time. And I'm going to bet on him again. I'll bet Poirier on the fight.
Justin Gaethje.
I bet Justin Gaethje.
Kevin Lee.
Then Kevin Lee could out-wrestle Connor.
Al Iaquinta.
Al beats him. He went 5 rounds with Khabib. How does Al not beat Connor?
Nate Diaz.
Already did it twice.
Cowboy Cerrone.
I would put Cowboy in there easy.
Max Holloway.
Oh, you know that Max Holloway wins that fight easy.
Jose Aldo.
that might be where he starts to, where McConnor might start to win.
Brian Ortega.
I think he could be Brian Ortega as well. I think he could be Brian Ortega as well. Yep.
So it's like right around that Jose. You think he's a little better than Jose Aldo?
Yep. I think Moicano could probably beat Connor.
Tony Ferg.
Oh, easy. That's an easy one. Why would you even ask that one?
That's why I didn't even ask Khabib
exactly.
or Tony. Sorry to disrespect. Everyone's like, why did she ask Khabib or Tony? Because we already know those answers.
100%. 100%.
All right.
But to the 205ers, we had Glover Teixeira coming in and making quick work against an 85er, 185er, moving
Alexander
up short
Hernandez.
notice. Versus Connor? Connor.
Okay.
So, Robertson moving up from 85 on short notice against Teixeira. We all saw what was coming down the pipeline. Teixeira's just better and bigger all the way around. Robertson has a big weakness on his ground game. Glover Teixeira quickly exploiting that, getting it to the ground and finishing it via arm triangle choke. I mean, good. You can't really take anything with all the short notice replacement stuff. Glover did what he should have done, finished it. He stays in the division. Robertson doesn't. He did a favor for UFC, so I don't really lose any credit for him other than if he hasn't learned already that his ground game is his deficiency. This is a guy who's already capping for me as far as a fighter.
Well, there's two things. One, he looked really good. He looked good AF coming out of the gate. Like, I thought he really wobbled Glover, and he was swinging for the fences.
With elbows to the temple? Was that when he hurt him?
And I think he
On the
laid in
cage.
some good punches, too.
Okay.
I think it was a whole combination of things. But also, he's still only 28 years old. He does need to get some groundwork in, but this is fighting up at 205 against one of the guys that's still one of the all-time greats, and at this weight, they can afford to be a little older. He's 41. He's 41 years old, this guy!
He's been in it for a while.
And he took some good shots in there. He looked wobbled for a minute, came back, submitted Carl. Everything looked okay to me. This was another one of those weird short notice fights. This was just a weird effing fight night. It just left a bad taste in my mouth overall. I know it's like
We picked well though. I feel like we picked great, especially with the underdogs.
It was just a really weird. It wasn't overall. It was just like on a scale of 1 to 10. I guess we can talk about that at the end of the night.
Definitely, as we cross that bridge, we will get there. Moving forward again with Teixeira, how far forward do you go? Right, he doesn't really do anything. Robertson doesn't really go anywhere either because again, this was just a favor to keep this fight even on here. An interesting fact, and this is.
I like Teixeira. Sorry to click in the mic. I like Teixeira dos Santos.
Oh yes, at 205.
At 205.
Yeah, that if he stays there.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say was the interesting thing here that I feel like I took away from some of this ESPN stuff is right now we're in the honeymoon stage of UFC and ESPN. We're going to get the good bouts, the good fights. They're going to try anything to put Teixeira against anyone just to get the name value on there, where later on it might turn into that Fox deal where it's like, who's on these cards? What are they doing?
I don't know, because there's like a lot of people on this card where they have a few big names like Donald Cerrone against who? Or Glover Teixeira versus, it's like there are big names on it, and like Rachel Oach is pretty... Ostovich, but Paige Van Zant's the name value there. So they have a few guys that are kind of name value side against a couple of nobodies. So I feel like they're saving it a little bit. You know how Dana feels about these little guy cards.
Correct. But as you were saying, Paige Van Zant
PVZ carries a lot of fame.
Is a big heavy hitter. She's got now 2 mountain peaks that she can yell off of. And her name has been getting out there, dancing with the stars, doing all of her book tour stuff, having a bestseller out there. But she really came through. We here at LaTB were wondering why it was even pretty close against Ostovich, where we saw PVZ just being the better all-around fighter. And it only took her a minute and 50 seconds into the second round to defeat Rachel Ostovich via armbar. It looked like it could have been a weird and nasty turn, and her elbow could have popped really well in there. But Ostovich looked good, didn't get scared. Actually, PVZ was hurt with an overhand right twice in there. PVZ was knocked on her butt in the first round. Remember that?
I thought PVZ looked good everywhere, in my opinion. She looked like the far smaller girl. Thought she handled herself well. Did Rachel break her arm?
At the end, I feel like as PVZ was falling from like a triangle mounted position to an armbar.
She jumped into something cool at the end.
Yeah, and Ostovich definitely tapped very quickly. We didn't even see the tap. It was PVZ actually rolled off and started crying, and the fans were kind of just like, what happened? And then once they showed the review, you could see Ostovich tapping to that armbar. PVZ, where does she go at 125 pounds? Is she? We were calling for a fight earlier.
She called out Jessica Ai, but Jessica Ai is going to be fighting Shevchenko. So what do you do with PVZ at 125? I think there's a couple of...
You just said Calderwood.
Yeah, Calderwood, PVZ, or anyone in that tough house. I think she stands a great chance against anyone in that tough house. If in the 125 division, if Shevchenko wasn't there, PVZ could be wearing a belt soon.
Interesting.
It's a weird division.
Very weird division. Definitely. Ostovich, due to her looks and the limited amount of talent in the division, she's still going to stay there for a little while. They're going to keep that 125-pound division.
Oh, yeah. She has a couple of fights, too, in the division she could still win.
Right.
That's crazy to say. But
that's unreal.
Yeah.
So, on to the 125-pound males division. Maybe the last fight we ever saw. Maybe not, due to the main event turning out the way it did. But we have a...
Second to last.
To the 125-pound division, potentially.
Second to last 125-pound fight ever.
Joseph Benavidez versus Dustin Ortiz, too.
Yeah, the better of the two fights overall.
Agreed. This was a 3-round hard-fought decision. Joseph Benavidez was in a much closer fight against Dustin Ortiz the second time around, but even though the Bean was maybe making up a couple extra strikes in his head and thinking that Dustin Ortiz won the last 2 rounds, unfortunately, Joseph Benavidez came out with the first and third decidedly. It could have been a 10-8 round that first round. Joey B's knocking down Dustin Ortiz, but I mean, Joey B, still a top 5 guy at 125 pounds. Dustin Ortiz just cannot beat those level of fighters and will perennially be a gatekeeper for the top 10 division, or top 10 fighters at the 125-pound division. How'd you feel this one came overall? I don't feel like either move's really in their position.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Joey B it's like he's just in the top 3 always, floating around. On his best day, he could take the belt from any one of the guys on his best day. You just don't get that all the time, but he's steadier than I give him credit for. I keep waiting to fade him, but his speed's still there. His power's getting better. His ring IQ is getting better. So I need to stop thinking about him like that. He really hasn't given me any signs to fade him except for getting clipped in one fight. Everything, Joey B, his full game plan is unreal. I need to get him out of whatever drawer I have him in my head and change my thoughts of him, because he's a dangerous man. And I'm interested, if they do cut the 125, he's one of the guys I'm curious about at 135. 3 to 6 months of just training and putting on the right kind of muscle, he's still a very dangerous man at 135 and has plenty of fights left.
I totally agree, and I could see that.
Both guys.
Both of them. Great point. So then we go on to the 155-pound weight class, where Gregor Gillespie came in against Yancy Medeiros in a knockout at 4 minutes, 59 seconds of the second round. Gregor Gillespie using that ground and pound TKO, as we said it here on the show. Everyone saw it coming. It was takedown city. We got a lot of boos in the crowd after this. A lot of the crowd not liking it 30 seconds into the fight. They were like, whoa, what's this guy doing? And it was really a testament to Yancy Medeiros. I thought I was mentioning a bit of this during the fight card, was Yancy's actually moving enough to not let Gillespie allow to strike. And once Gillespie was finally able to wear out Yancy Medeiros in that second round enough to let the strikes go, it was a matter of time. Early stoppage, Maybe. Was Yancey getting demolished as far as being controlled the entire fight? Yes. So, I'm not angry with it, but
I think it's shitty. 1 second, you could have let it go. Yancey is a fucking old dog.
Would have went
He
to
could have made
decision.
1 second. It was a bit quick, but I had Gillespie everywhere, and for that to wait till the end of the second round to call it, it was a lot of points.
it saved that 75 on DraftKings because you got the finish prop in there.
And that being said, I think Gillespie's a dangerous man. One, a little overrated. I like everything that I saw, but Yancey Medeiros at 155 doesn't look good. I like him better at 170.
Interesting.
He's an older dog too. He looks faster at 170. He held his own with Cowboy Oliveira at 170.
He beat him.
That is fucking that people don't give that enough credit. I'm like, dude, you can have fights till the end of your
Easily.
career at 170. Why kill your body like this? Like, you're not making... I just don't see him making a run at it. So why cut the extra weight to 155? He's a good name. I like Yancey Medeiros. I feel like hardcores dig him. He always puts for an exciting fight in there. He doesn't have to kill himself to get to 155. But the question I had was, is Gregor Gillespie that good that everyone's ducking him and Yancey's willing to take a fight with anyone?
I feel like it could be a little bit of both. I could be the hype is getting a little steamy on Gillespie because of those wrestling credentials, which we tend to really give a lot of credit to. And, hey, I like to boast all over T. Edwards being an Arizona wrestler.
Amazing. You're so right. Yancey was drowning in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was quicksand. Gregor looked crazy. And what style of wrestling is that?
He was using just folk-style-collegiate grappling. That's what I saw.
Unreal.
I didn't see any crazy throws or anything. He was just body locking and tight waisting that body, which there's no limbs involved, but still, you're putting so much forward pressure and pressure on it. You don't understand it till you feel it. And Gillespie, again, being a national champion, he is as elite as it gets. But sometimes being an elite athlete in another sport isn't enough.
Gregor the Gift Gillespie.
To be an MMA fighter. But Gillespie does have a sport that translates well for him. Moving forward, gonna still be betting pretty heavily on him. Yancey Medeiros.
Yeah, I know. He's one of the ones. He is our runner-up one to watch for the year, so yeah.
For sure. Yancey Medeiros still, again, many fights for him at any weight class. He can move up to 205. I'll watch him fight.
Yeah.
So, on to the co-main event. We had a unique finish in this one. I mean, the worst way this could have possibly finished, it ended up having, with this controversial figure coming into our sport, Alan Crowder ended up getting the disqualification win in the second round after Greg Hardy annihilated him with a knee to a downed opponent in the side of the head. Crowder, though, arguably starting to win that fight fairly handedly.
Oh, yeah, he was picking him apart, talking shit.
Talking shit, getting all sorts of
But
confidence.
right at the moment that he was down and things were about to go very bad for Crowder, right at the moment, it just really sucks that Greg Hardy didn't know all the rules. I felt bad for him. I actually felt bad.
With that illegal knee for...
That's something, because I have been watching a long time. I know a lot of shit about fighting. I think I wouldn't have known better, because I asked you guys, I thought it was 3 points of contact. I thought his hand had to be down too. I thought, and he was getting up from it, so he had one leg all the way off, so it was just one knee down. I thought it was a fair, what? I thought I was allowed to do that. So I kind of believed him. I didn't think he was being dirty. Bummer.
It's... Unfortunately, any knee down makes him a downed opponent, but it's just, again, the amount of promotion the UFC put behind this fighter, up-and-comer, to do so many things, and I feel like he was really exploited. Alan Crowder is not the best heavyweight by far on the roster, not even in the top end 20 of the heavyweights. I feel like Alan Crowder gets eaten up by a lot of other heavyweights, and Greg Hardy was breathing for his life after that first round. Once those punches weren't landing, or once they did land and Crowder was still up, all of a sudden, there was a level of franticness that I saw from Greg Hardy that
Didn't look great.
didn't look good, and against a Cain Velasquez, a good wrestler that's like, oh, you're freaking out in here, dude, let me take you down. Hardy's ground game, garbage. Absolutely. So there's going to be money to be made
Or even
against
a straight
Greg Hardy.
puncher is going to knock him the fuck out.
100%. There's
Like
money
a
to be made
Tai
against Hardy.
Tuivasa that has some like nasty knees in the
Good
inside.
fight.
Yeah, I think that Hardy ain't ready for it yet. But he's at the right camp.
True.
He has heavy
UFC
hands. He needs to get his cardio together, and maybe this is a telling of that to himself.
UFC is choosing to keep Hardy around.
It was a trash fight. It didn't deserve to be a co-main event.
100%
Let's
right.
say that.
100% right. UFC's already said that they're going to choose to keep him around regardless of the disqualification. So we're going to be seeing him later on.
So we have this trash fight that we're like, okay, it's fine.
We're about to have a fight of the year.
We're about to have a fight of the year, and it's only January, and it's going to be like something that we still remember because it's two of the best guys in the game. In the height of their career, in the prime of their existence. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see it. I got everything ready.
30-second job. That's all it took. 30 seconds for Henry Cejudo to get in there and get out.
Dip.
Ended up landing a right, which started off the beginning of the end for TJ Dillashaw. Clipped him around the ear level. Either way,
Right over across, they grazed the back of the head.
it did wobble TJ, but then Henry Cejudo
I got
swarmed.
my TJ Dillashaw fade for no reason.
Was that the curse?
Maybe.
Was that it?
You were like, I'm going with my Cejudo hair. and it totally won.
Oh, but I had TJ everywhere. I did put Cejudo on a few of my cards or stacked it because it was a 5-rounder and I thought it could go into the 4th or 5th. But I still argue that it could have went to the 4th or 5th because even though TJ was hurt, I do feel like it was a bit early of a stoppage. I'm not saying that it wasn't uncalled for because TJ was hurt, but I would have liked to have seen it go a little bit longer. Cejudo, of course, he's gonna say, yeah, I finished him, and of course, TJ's gonna say he really did it and it was a bad ref. But as Dana White said it in the post-fight press conference, I was saying it. Why do we have this guy I've never heard of in a 5-rounder with the two best guys that are elite doing stuff that this guy doesn't understand? Why don't we have Herb, Magliata, freaking Eve Levine, get Yamasaki, which you know how we feel about Yamasaki, but get his ass in there.
We would rather.
100%. He would have let somebody die in there before he called the fight.
Yes, thank you.
I feel like that ref was ready to jump in a bit too early, and he just had too much forward momentum going in on him, and eventually was like, I gotta call this.
He was already touching TJ's back.
Yes.
You could kind of see in a
shin
way
on his
where
back.
he was unsure about it. He was touching TJ's back when TJ was literally, like, it was a weird moment. I totally agree with you, and it bums me out. Something I'll have to say. We had 32 seconds to talk about before, just to give Hudo some credit here. He was fucking doing some work. He put in some really powerful fucking leg kicks on TJ ahead of time. He handled, I don't think TJ landed one punch in 32 seconds, and he was kind of looking like, damn, this guy's, like, I think Henry's fast, and Henry hurt him, put TJ's face in the fucking dirt. I think TJ was hurt. I think he was seeing stars. I think it was still called a little too quick. I think we know TJ. He gets hurt. He gets stunned like that. I was as upset as TJ was at the post-fight presser. I think Dana said it was called early. And how are we not having they don't let the rookies do the Super Bowl. You don't let the rookies do the fucking main event. Mm-hmm. Like, come on. Let's get it together. But this takes
credit into that Brooklyn, New York commission that we forgot to hate on before the show, because this is definitely a commission's call. Who gets the what bouts. And as a commission, you should know, hey, these refs are standard. These guys are new. Put the new guys on the undercard.
Yep. They can get their points. It's like the same way. You don't let a guy with no hours fly the plane. You have to earn your hours.
Totally.
You got to earn your hours. You can't make it all the way to this point. And the reason the experience is also so important is because you have to know your fighters. you have to know your fighters. You have to almost study up on who you're going in there with, I think, in a way.
Totally.
I think there is a next level to this game, and at the UFC main event level, that has to be the height of it. That has to be the height of it. We're watching the main event, champion versus champion.
Super fight.
So Henry Cejudo gets the belt, and now his manager is going to have Henry Cejudo and Khabib, and hopefully he doesn't out-negotiate, because he Ali Abdelaziz has a lot of control right now.
For me, what doesn't make sense is Henry Cejudo before this fight was on the platform that he was going to save the 125-pound division, and immediately said, all right, TJ, we can do this again at 135 pounds. So you're telling me you don't need a 125-pound division? Why, you just saved the division, supposedly. Fight at 125 pounds, you jackass.
Agreed.
It doesn't make any sense at all for you to call out the 35er.
He's a dopey.
He's a good fighter, but he makes some very unique decisions in there. But at 32 seconds, you're like, dude, I was supposed to get punched in the face tonight. I didn't. I'm going to go do so much cocaine. You know how much cocaine this head could feel? It's a piñata in there.
Oh my gosh. I'm shell shocked.
It was a roller coaster. We were doing well for a really long time. Ended up still breaking even as far as DraftKings cash lines and all that working out. But,
it wasn't the worst.
The
it wasn't
TJ.
the worst night of my life, but it was just such a letdown. I was waiting for just...
the last two main events. Big letdowns. No? John Jones?
Yeah, I think maybe you're right. You're totally right on this. It's just a not great feeling at the end of it. But I don't know. So we have 2 weeks. We have plenty of time.
Oh, another 2 weeks? Bellator's probably not going to have anything on. It's probably going to be all freaking...
You know what you can do, but we have plenty of time to talk about it in between. But if you can stream Brennan Schaub's comedy special on Showtime. Is that a good way to
That's a good plug.
Yeah.
Wow,
Make sure
Schaub.
you're following Lesbo and the Bean everywhere.
Lesbo and the Bean!
Thanks for listening to LaTB. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.